Booting up an old console usually involves a specific expectation, stepping back into the fluid, expansive living worlds of childhood. But once the screen flickers on, you are often faced with a jagged, clunky, blurry mess of polygons. Modern hardware creates an inverse problem. You can spend thousands of dollars on a cutting-edge 240 Hz monitor and find that the perceptual gains over a standard desktop screen are barely noticeable. This creates a central puzzle. Primitive, low-resolution technology felt miraculously alive, while exponential modern upgrades are now hitting a wall of severe diminishing returns. Researcher Ross Tunnicliffe proposes a solution to this called the Generative Display Hypothesis. This model suggests that human vision is an active prediction engine. Instead of passively recording pixels like a camera, the brain constantly generates a model of its environment and tests that model against incoming sensory signals. Your visual system used the sparse digital signals of early games as raw material, constructing a high-fidelity, coherent reality that felt more complete than the hardware could actually render. The moment you recognize a cluster of gray pixels as a steel door or a specific enemy, your brain stops processing them as random data points. The hypothesis calls this semantic super-resolution. Your visual system recruits prior knowledge to enrich a sparse stimulus with scale, threat, and physical trajectory. The mind acts as an organic physics engine, growing a dense, functional world out of a mathematically barren digital seed. Hard physics also played a role. Retro hardware possessed distinct, measurable physical advantages that modern flat panels often struggle to replicate. Modern LCDs use sample and hold tech, keeping frames static during the refresh interval. Tracking motion across static samples creates retinal blur. But legacy CRT monitors functioned as impulse displays, using microsecond phosphor flashes that eliminated this smear, providing crystal clear tracking. Because of these display physics, an ancient 60 Hz CRT could objectively provide higher motion clarity than a standard modern 60 Hz LCD panel. There are also biological limits to how we perceive high frame rates. A Weber-like discrimination rule maps exactly why our brains eventually stop noticing hardware upgrades. This chart plots refresh frequency against frame time in absolute milliseconds. Moving from 30 to 60 frames per second removes a massive 16.7 milliseconds of delay, but escalating from 240 to 300 frames yields a biologically invisible improvement of less than 1 millisecond. The visual system registers these relative intervals, making extreme modern hardware specifications biologically invisible to most observers. The most critical factor in this experience is the physical agency of the player. When you push a button, your brain generates an efference copy. This is an internal signal that allows the motor system to predict the visual consequences of your actions before they even happen. This active sensory motor prediction literally lowers your brain's temporal discrimination thresholds. It allows a player to perceive a more responsive environment than a passive observer watching the exact same screen. Agency transforms the human into a critical component of a closed cybernetic loop, where prediction and action stabilize the digital world. This leads back to the childhood memories we started with, and a final layer of the illusion called mnemonic upscaling. Episodic memory reconstructs the emotional valence, the feeling of control, and the acoustic rhythms, rather than archiving raw optical data. Revisiting old games feels jarring because the adult visual system is suddenly testing literal, low-resolution digital signals against highly developed modern expectations. Digital fidelity exists as an integrative system spanning brain, display, and memory, far exceeding the raw rendered specifications of the machine.